Do you remember a time when the streets were quieter and the most common sound was the rustling of leaves, a calm that seems so distant today? Let's take a journey back to the small Canadian towns of the 1950s, a time when life moved at a different rhythm. Each morning began with the smell of fresh bread from the corner bakery and the gentle clink of the postman opening the gate. He'd smile, wave, and call each person by name, not because he was reading the envelope, but because he knew them by heart. Delivering a letter wasn't just a job, it brought conversation, laughter, and even a bit of advice. People took their time. Neighbors greeted each other with a wave, and a short conversation could easily turn into half an hour of shared stories. You didn't need to schedule meetings. Chance encounters were common, and everyone seemed to have a moment to spare. The morning sun would warm the facades of the wooden houses, and the cheerful ring of a bicycle bell was the perfect start to the day. The world seemed smaller then, but people's hearts were bigger. Every face was familiar, every smile sincere. Children played in the street without fear, their parents watching from the porch, and time moved at the pace of real life. Today, those memories live on in yellowed photos and in the quiet corners of our minds. But all you have to do is close your eyes to feel it all again. The crisp, fresh wind, the laughter of neighbors, the smell of earth after a summer rain. This was the Canada of small towns, a place where respect and friendship didn't need to be taught. They were lived every single day, and perhaps, deep down, this is the Canada we all still carry within us. Mornings in these towns had a hushed charm. The sound of cars was rare. Instead, you'd hear birdsong, the soft groan of windows being opened, and the distant sound of a radio playing gentle music. The streets were wide but often empty, save for one or two bicycles ridden by smiling children, their hair blowing in the wind and backpacks swinging. The sidewalks were made of worn bricks, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee drifted from open windows. Mothers would sweep their porches, fathers would wave goodbye as they headed off to work, and every day seemed to follow the same peaceful rhythm, calm, predictable, beautiful. There was no rush, no anxiety about what the next day would bring. Life, as it was enough. The small local businesses opened slowly, their owners cleaning the windows and placing flowers in the sills. The baker, the butcher, the barber, they were all a part of the daily lives of those passing by. When you walked into a shop, you were met with a genuine good morning, a smile that came from the soul. The conversations were simple but full of meaning. People talked about the weather, the harvest, or a son starting school. Small matters that together made the heart of the town beat. Children played ball in the middle of the street, and no one worried about traffic. Time seemed to move slowly, almost as if it respected the lives people were living. In the afternoon, the sun would cast a golden glow on the houses, and the smell of baking pie would fill the air. People were less connected to machines and more connected to each other. There was something sacred in that simplicity. Each day had its own value. It wasn't about having a lot, but about feeling a lot. Canada back then wasn't just a place. It was a feeling. There was something truly magical about the small shops in those Canadian towns. They were more than just places to buy things. They were meeting places where the day's stories were born. The doorbell would ring softly as someone entered, and a smile would soon appear from behind the counter. The shopkeeper didn't need to ask for your name. He knew what you bought, what you liked, and even your youngest son's favorite candy. The wooden shelves, the smell of fresh bread, the sound of coins dropping into the register. It was all part of a symphony of simplicity and trust. People bought on credit, their purchases jotted down in a notebook, and no one doubted anyone else. Your word was worth more than any receipt. The market, the bakery, and the butcher shop were places where kindness lived, and everyone felt at home. There was always time to talk. A quick trip for milk could turn into an exchange of stories about the coming winter or the new radio someone had just bought. Laughter echoed, and the sense of belonging was constant. Commerce was the living heart of the town, pulsing with every visit, with every genuine thank you. And the visual charm was unforgettable. Hand-painted signs, display cases with glass bottles, and crumpled paper bags held in the hands of smiling shoppers. The smells all mingled: bread, wood, coffee, and fresh newspaper. Every detail carried a piece of the soul of that time. Looking back now, we realize it wasn't about what was being sold, but about who was there. The smile of the salesperson, the wave from the cashier, the "come back soon" that truly meant you belong here. Local businesses were a reflection of the trust, respect, and closeness that shaped the Canada of yesterday. Perhaps you can still hear the sound of that doorbell ringing and remember a time when life fit into a simple conversation at the counter. Canadian homes of decades past had something that couldn't be measured or defined by architecture. They had a soul. They were havens warmed not just by the fire in the fireplace, but by the warmth of the people who lived inside. The soft creak of the hardwood floors, the steam rising from the kettle on the stove, the scent of apple pie filling the kitchen. It all set the scene for a simple, yet profoundly meaningful life. On cold nights, the foggy windows held the secrets of families gathered together. Inside, the radio played old songs while someone sewed. Another read the newspaper, and children played on the rug, laughing loudly, completely unaware they were creating memories that would last a lifetime. There was no rush. Time seemed to pass slowly, respecting the value of each shared moment. The homes were filled with small details that seemed like relics today. Black and white photographs in gilded frames, handmade crocheted curtains, woolen blankets folded on the sofa. Every object told a story, and every corner held an echo of love and belonging. It was common to see smoke rising from chimneys at dusk, as if every house was breathing along with the approaching winter. Home was the center of the world. It was where birthdays were celebrated, grace was said before meals, and the postman was awaited with a letter from far away. A mother's laugh, a father's serene gaze, the clinking of cutlery during dinner, all of it formed a symphony of tenderness and stability. Homes weren't just buildings, they were silent witnesses to an era when love was the greatest asset. Today, when we look back, we realize that true luxury was found right there. In a warm blanket, a soft yellow light, and the sound of the wind against the windows. It was Canada at its purest, welcoming, simple, and full of heart. Maybe when you hear the crackle of a fireplace, you'll remember that home that smelled of peace and the time when warmth lived in the soul. In the Canadian cities of yesterday, streets weren't just paths of cobblestone or asphalt. They were corridors of stories and laughter. Each block had its own personality, and each neighbor was, in a way, part of a large, extended family. Walking along those sidewalks, it was impossible not to greet someone. A wave of the hand, an exchanged smile, a good morning spoken with genuine care. Every familiar face brought comfort, and every open door symbolized trust. Children ran freely, their voices echoing between white picket fences and ancient trees, while adults stopped to chat, share recipes, or discuss the latest hockey game. The distant sound of a lawn being mowed, the clinking of bicycles leaning against a porch, the smell of wet grass in the morning, it all composed a melody of simplicity and belonging. The streets were the stage for small adventures, unexpected encounters, and laughter that filled the air. It was common for neighbors to help each other without a second thought, securing a forgotten open door, delivering a pie to the family next door, or offering a ride on a snowy day. Each gesture reinforced the feeling that no one was alone, and that every person had their place in this fabric of friendship and solidarity. The local shops, squares, and parks all intertwined with these streets, forming an invisible network of affection and care. And there was the visual charm that sparks such nostalgia today. Hand-painted fences, tree-lined sidewalks, and streetlights that cast a soft glow at dusk. Every detail seemed to whisper that life there was simple, yet complete. It was a time when everyone knew their neighbor's name, their family's routine, and even the cat that always crossed the street at the same time each evening. Today, when we look back at old photos or walk down similar streets, we miss that human warmth that can't be bought or built in tall buildings. The memory of the streets of yesteryear reminds us that true wealth lay in the closeness, friendship, and trust that united each neighbor as if they were all part of one large collective home. Thank you for taking this journey back in time with us. If these memories touched your heart, please give this video a like and subscribe for more stories that remind us of where we came from. Until next time, have you ever felt a longing for a time you may not have even lived through? A time when Canadian cities celebrated life in a way that felt almost magical? Holidays weren't just dates on a calendar. They were vibrant gatherings that brought neighbors, family, and friends together, creating a human warmth that could melt even the harshest of winters. Imagine every town square, every community hall, every decorated street, with colorful streamers fluttering in the wind and the irresistible aroma of home-cooked meals filling the air. Harvest Day, Christmas, Canada Day. Each occasion was painted with small, precious traditions. Children would run freely with ribbons and lanterns, their laughter echoing like music on the wind. Adults would greet each other not with a quick nod, but with lingering hugs and genuine smiles. Amateur choirs would fill the streets with familiar songs, while stalls selling sweets and traditional foods created a symphony of scents that still linger in the memories of those who were there. More than anything, there was a profound sense of belonging. You knew the family next door, the elderly man on the corner, and even the dog that always weaved between everyone's legs. Every handshake, every shared dish, reinforced that incredible feeling of community, that you were all part of something bigger, something real. In those moments, children learned to share, adults learned to care, and the entire city seemed to breathe in unison with collective joy. The visuals themselves were enchanting. Lights strung between trees cast a warm glow. Tables were draped with checkered cloths, and colorful hats and gently waving flags dotted the landscape. Every detail was a testament to a simple truth. Happiness wasn't found in grand gestures, but in sincere companionship and the shared memories being made, moment by moment. As we look at old photos or hear the stories, we can't help but yearn for that time when joy was simple, genuine, and beautifully contagious. Do you remember a childhood where the streets and backyards were your entire universe? In Canadian cities of yesteryear, these weren't just physical spaces. They were grand stages for endless adventures. Every tree, every fence, every little crack in the sidewalk held a mystery waiting to be discovered. The sound of children's laughter was the soundtrack of the neighborhood, mingling with bird song and the distant whir of bicycles on the pavement. The games we played went far beyond fancy toys. We had skipping ropes, hide-and-seek, sack races, and epic games of dodgeball that transformed any patch of grass into an enchanted kingdom. Imagination was our greatest tool. A simple twig became a hero's sword, a piece of old sheet a superhero's cape, and stones on the sidewalk turned into treasure in an imaginary shop. Creativity was boundless, and community flourished naturally. Everyone was included, everyone played, and no one was ever left behind. Backyards were sanctuaries of discovery. Fruit trees held secret hideaways, small vegetable gardens taught us patience, and the smell of wet grass after a summer rain brought a sense of pure, unadulterated adventure. Neighbors would watch with quiet smiles, knowing these simple moments were shaping memories that would last a lifetime. There was a visual poetry to it all, the golden afternoon sun lighting up faces smudged with dirt, long shadows stretching across the sidewalks, and clothes proudly stained from a day well spent. Each of these details tells a story of a happy, simple, and unforgettable childhood. When you close your eyes and think back, can you feel that pure freedom? that sense of a world that fit perfectly into your backyard or the street in front of your house. It was a time when playing wasn't just fun. It was life itself, unfolding with a magic and a sense of belonging that we still carry with us today. When we look back on those decades that shaped the Canada we know, we realize it wasn't just the buildings or the streets that defined the era. It was the memories, the gestures, and the powerful bonds etched into every heart. Every story told around the dinner table, every laugh shared on the sidewalk, every warm hug from a neighbor, these moments held a quiet, enduring power that has spanned generations. The legacy of that past lives in the smallest details. Can you recall the smell of fresh bread from the corner bakery, the distinct chime of a bell on an old shop door, or the comforting creak of a wooden floor that supported so many childhood footsteps? These aren't just memories. They're bridges connecting our present to our past, reminding us of who we were and what we valued most: simplicity, trust, friendship, and love. Even decades later, they remain vivid, awakening a sweet nostalgia that warms the soul. It's impossible not to see how these memories shaped entire communities. The local businesses, the neighborhood festivals, the shared backyards, they were all woven into a fabric of affection. They were more than just places. They were living feelings, spaces where we learned respect, generosity, and the pure joy of being together. Today, as we reflect on those times, we feel a mix of nostalgia and gratitude. Nostalgia for the simple good things that made us smile, and gratitude for the values we learned. It's a reminder to carry that spirit forward, to pass on the importance of community, affection, and simplicity to new generations, so that warmth is never lost. Perhaps in these moments, you can feel the echo of old voices, hear the clink of coins in a pocket, or smell the comforting aroma of a home-cooked meal. It reminds us that no matter how much time passes, some memories remain eternal. They warm the heart, connect us to one another, and prove that life's true treasure is found in the little things, in kindness, in smiles, and in a love that never grows old. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If these memories resonated with you, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that connect us to our shared past. We'd love to hear your own memories in the comments below. Until next time.